it.
Yeah.
I saw that the anniversary of Avery. I was like, oh, I do have some Avery.
Yeah, I saw that one.
But I'm like, should I break out some Avery?
Yeah.
I only have like 2 bottles left, and I know Andy's gonna want some.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
Yeah. No, I did break out a couple. Well, I shouldn't say break out. I have a couple of beers that I'm very much looking forward to, and they're not like giant barrel-aged beers, but
yeah,
they should be really good. So. All right. Hey, look at that. If you create a show, you can actually go live.
You cast it and they will come.
Yeah, so I thought I had set up the YouTube show a couple hours ago. I usually set it up between 3 and 4 o'clock, and then we go live at 6. And then I hit to go live, and I'm like, well, where's my stream at? It's not set up. Oh, my window's still open over here, and I hadn't hit go yet. So hey, we're live now.
Yeah.
Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 285, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone. And, hey. How's it going, Jeff Geerling? If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk... Good lord. We talk beer, we talk tech. We talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel, but an even better way to support the show is head on over to craftcomputing.store and pick yourself up some of the awesome new merch that we have, from rocks glasses to whiskey stones to coasters, and even more coming very, very soon. Like, I can't wait for this little one.
I just saw a preview of some new stuff, and I'll have to get me some of those too, because I'm short of those glasses. I need more of those glasses.
It's so hard to find good tasters. It really is.
And I like the fact that it doubles for whiskey tasters and it doubles for beer tasters.
Yep. Yeah,
dual purpose.
Combo Glencairn and 4-ounce flight glass. So these will be up shortly. Anyway, other way to support me, join the Patreon. Link is down in the video description, and as a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Someone ban Jeremy. Star Trek is meh.
He's gone. He's banished.
We talk, we tech. Yes.
Every tech Star Trek. Yeah. Just beam him into the buffer.
Yeah.
And just let him sit
just
there.
Let him sit there.
Yeah.
If it wasn't obvious, I could definitely use a beverage tonight. It's been a long
day?
like 3 or 4 days, and I know I try not to come on to the show and say things like that. Like, you want to generate energy, you want to make it enjoyable. This week has been so long with so many different massive projects going on. I mean, obviously the launching of the store and getting all of that up and running. We had a project that was quite a bit going into it and then was since canceled. Now, I talked to Steve earlier about what the circumstances are. Unfortunately, we can't talk about what happened, but something just flat out is no longer happening, which really sucks. But it would have been fun, but yeah. But no hard feelings, things happen. Let's see, talked to quite a few different professionals about the studio build process and starting to get the ball rolling on that. I think I had 2 or 3 like almost hour-long meetings in the last week relating to stuff around that. Plus, I'm still trying to make content and everything else. So yeah, this has been a week where the business has gotten in the way of making videos. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to a beverage tonight. But Steve,
you still got a video out released this week though. You still got one out.
We got one out. We have another one that should be live on Friday, and holy crap, do I have a pile of parts on my table right now for this one. It's been a long time since I've done a brand new PC build. Like I've done a couple like upgrade videos, like, hey, motherboard and CPU going into this box, and we'll swap out this graphics card, and hey, check out this other Chinese system. it's been a couple of years since I've done like a computer from scratch. Hey, here's a good mid or high level gaming PC parts guide kind of thing. And I'm very much looking forward to this one. And this is like an overkill without going $5,000. Like,
oh, okay.
Like it's kind of like it's an overcompensating rig, but with some very smart decisions of, instead of buying a 4090, which is $1,000 more than a 4070 Ti, get the 4070 Ti because there's not $1,000 gap in those cards.
Right. It's still exorbitant, but it's not like going crazy overboard.
Exactly. It's exorbitant without flying first class. It's it's getting the nice hotel, but maybe no massage.
It's like buying the nice lowrider, but not getting the hydraulics.
Right. No, we still got hydraulics.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I got hydraulics.
But yeah, very much looking forward to this build. It's going to be a good one. Anyway, Steve, if you want to go ahead and start us off, what are you drinking tonight?
Yes. Okay, so I went back to just doing some IPAs. I'm kind of feeling like IPAs this week. And so I went down and started looking through what they had to offer and looking on Untappd to see what I haven't had. And I realized, man, there's not much I haven't had.
So, don't you hate it when that happens?
Yes, I did. I did find a few. This one's by Breakside, which I really, really like Breakside.
Mm-hmm.
It's called where is it? Cuddle Puddle. It's
Cuddle
a West Coast IPA. Cuddle Puddle. It's got some otters, I think, eating off their tummies in the cover. And this one is okay. This one is actually something I did have before, but on Untappd they have it listed as 7%. This one is listed at 9%. It's the Symphonic Chronic.
Oh yeah.
9%. And I think I did this with John. We did like a 420 beer thing to see which one tasted the most like, what 420 is known for. And I believe that one was on there, but this is, I think, the new version of it. So I haven't had the new version of it, so I'm going to try that one.
Yeah, I did not know that they had launched this one. I mean, it is around that time of year, but
yeah.
So I should have. But yeah, there's a number of 420-ish beers that are launched around this time of year that
Yep.
I missed a couple of them this year, and I'm actually a little upset by that. But
yeah, but this one is, I don't think is listed on Untappd because I can only find it as the 7% version, not the 9%.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think
sometimes with series of like seasonal series of beers, they'll
miss a year or whatever.
They'll miss a year, or people will mark the wrong one in because they'll go, oh yeah, right. Symphonic Chronic, the 2017 version. Yeah. No, it's 2023. Like, yeah,
it's different.
So that happens a lot. Anyway, someone said I might have the wrong episode number, and I think you're correct. So this is actually episode 284. 284. Yes, you are correct. And actually, I'm going to change the title right now. There we go.
All right.
Whatever.
Someone's counting. Someone out there is actually counting.
Someone out there's counting. Yeah. Anyway, you can go and pour your beer, but
all right. 'Cause you got something special you want to say.
I also felt like IPAs this week.
Yeah. Okay.
I have two different beers this week. I've got a stout and I've got an IPA.
All right.
I've got an 11.3 and I've got a 6.1, and they're not the beers you're thinking they are.
Okay. They're the opposite. So the
I've
stout's the low one.
The stout's the 6.1, and then I've got a Revision Brewing Dr. Lupulin.
Oh, Dr. Lupulin's
so good. I saw this on the shelf.
Triple IPA.
Yeah, diabolical triple IPA.
Yeah. That was one that John used to serve at his tap house quite a bit. I remember Dr. Lupulin being over there.
Yep. So it was funny. I was walking through the beer store today, and by the way, this entire fridge behind me that's just off frame here, right now, there's not a single beer in it that is less than 11%. and that sounds like a blessing, but it's also a problem because I don't always feel like a double-digit beer.
Yeah.
And so I went to the store today specifically looking for just give me a good solid 6.5% IPA or some kind of porter or pilsner or whatever that I can have on a show. I can have and not die. That's never my goal. And I'm walking down the aisle, and this is the first beer that I saw, and I'm like, oh
man.
I mean, I have to.
I have to. Yes, I remember Dr. Lupulin fondly. Oh, because that's the thing. Some of the doubles and triples, they have like sweeter malt profiles to them, and those complement hop so well.
Yeah.
That. Yeah, and they're easy to drink down too.
And I love this one because it's one of the triples that is like crystal clear when it's done.
Yeah, it's definitely a quad. It's pre hazies,
right?
So it's still West Coast style, but it's the triple version.
Look how clear that is.
I know, it's wonderful.
So yes, I saw this today and I went, oh yeah.
It's Dr. Lupulin it is.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
It's good stuff. I remember it fondly.
And John J says, do I have some beer mail? I know I have some beer mail around here. I just need to find out where I set that box. There it is. So yes, I have some beer mail to open.
Okay, so we're going to do some beer mail opening up. Is it, I don't know who in the chat. Is John J, is that you who brought it? I'm guessing so, since he mentioned it.
I don't know if he sent me bricks, but I'm used to dense packages because you cram enough beer in a box and it becomes very heavy very quickly. This one feels slightly heavier than normal. Like I know what 4 pints should feel like, and this feels like more.
Well, it's higher ABV, so it's heavier.
Right. Yeah. Well, higher gravity.
It's higher gravity, right? Yeah. It's higher gravity.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Well, this is twice as heavy as 4 pints because it's 8 pints.
8 pints. There we go. Glad they put in Ziploc bags to help seal the freshness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it had a long trip,
Yeah, it did. It's got a long way to go. It could get motion sickness and puke. You don't want that.
Ooh, we got some Lord Hobo.
Oh yeah, Lord Hobo's great. I had a whole bunch of that stuff. Atomic
Insomniac Coffee Milk Stout.
I haven't had that one.
7%. That looks awesome. We've got a Treehouse Brewing Habanero Haze, 8.2%.
I don't know. You're not a big spicy guy.
I am. I like a spice. I'm not a hot sauce guy.
Okay.
But I do appreciate a good spice. I'm not a heat for heat's sake kind of guy. I want it to have really good flavor, and I'm also not huge on vinegar. So
I'm well, okay. I'm that way too, and I don't want to take a sideways thing and talk about hot sauce, but
yeah.
I like my hot sauce to be very, very minimal in the vinegar.
Yeah, and I can do some hot sauces and whatnot. I'll get the red sauces at taco restaurants and things like that. So I'm not totally averse to it. It's just I'm not a connoisseur. It's not a regular thing in my house. But jalapenos on pizza and tacos and double me up.
Stuff. Oh no, I started making my own hot sauce and man, it's been fun. I've been really enjoying it.
Gray Sail Brewing of Rhode Island, 11 years. It's their 11 ale, 11.11%.
Wow, I've never heard of those guys. Rhode Island, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gray Sail Brewing, Rhode Island. 11 years anniversary triple IPA. So not all that far off from what I'm drinking right now.
Not a slouch, yeah.
John says the silver can is the Trinity Brewhouse Belgian Strawberry 2022. Oh, good God.
Belgian Strawberry.
The 2022, is that the year or the ABV? Because last time it was the ABV.
Dangerous Belgian strawberry.
So, Trinity
It's-
Brewhouse. I know it doesn't say it,
Nope.
but Trinity Brewhouse.
Silver Cow. Okay.
These are dangerous cans. These are very dangerous cans.
Are they Belgian tripels? Is that what they strawberry Belgian tripels, or what are they? Or just a Belgian strong?
I think it's a Belgian strong, and it's
Okay.
like strawberry ale combo.
I like them all.
So
I'm just trying to picture the flavor
I
profile.
think this is the third silver can that I've gotten from John from Trinity. Boy, they over under on ABV has been about 18%. So, yes. Oh, nice. I was wondering if I would get another one of these. Treehouse Brewing King Creamsicle.
Oh, nice. See, one of these days, they're going to give you a just chrome can with no label, and it's going to be a pickle beer. And you're just going to trust it.
You and I need to split this one.
Okay.
Not a barley wine. Okay.
No?
From Treehouse Brewing.
Okay.
It's their Scotch Ale Wee Heavy Barley Beer.
What?
Yeah!
So it's a wee heavy
It's a wee heavy barley beer.
That sounds interesting. I would totally be all over that.
Yeah.
Because I like wee heavies and I like barley ales.
Right. And
I
love scotches.
Heavy, but
yeah.
So
it's a Scotch
with more barley.
Barley. And yeah, John says Belgian strong on the strawberry. So yeah.
Okay, Belgian strong.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. And from some brewing company, Apostrophe IPA. I think I've also had this one at some point. This looks very familiar. So yeah, thank you, John. As always, if you'd like to help fuel craft computing, we have our address listed down below.
Yeah. I'm going to switch it to my address one of these days.
Yeah.
Just have it sent to me.
Novella says he has that one. Are you talking the strawberry or one of the others?
The Scotch.
The Sun Brewing, the Scotch Ale?
Maybe the Scotch barley one.
Oh, the Scotch Ale. I think I got to save that for Steve. I read that and it was one of those life flashes before your eyes where Steve's beating you to death with a crowbar.
You didn't let me try it.
Right. Yeah. If Steve found out I had that, we would no longer be friends.
I would absolutely love. Yeah.
I mean,
even
you
John.
want to drive
even
up?
John.
You want to drive up? I'll crack it for the after party.
I'll drive up. Well, not at the after party, but next week maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because every time John gets a barley one, he always waits till I come over before he opens it. Because he knows, for one, he typically can't drink them all by himself, or else he's just going to be flat out on his back.
There are rules.
Yes.
Anyway, we're 20 minutes in. I think it's about time we get to the news.
Yeah, let's start up.
Even though this beer is fantastic. Look how clear that is.
I know.
Jeez.
I've had Dr. Lupulin before.
Yeah.
It's very good.
This story is very interesting. So this was broken by WCCF Tech, but this was an actual press release from a Chinese chip manufacturer known as Power Leader. They're not necessarily new in the space. They've manufactured clone x86 CPUs in the past. In fact, I believe they were one of the ones that launched the 4-core 2 gigahertz one a couple of years ago that we talked about on the channel. That had just lower than AMD Bulldozer level of performance per clock type speeds, IPC. While it was x86 and it did run, it was not nearly good enough for any form of modern compute. Unless you can tie Sandy Bridge, get out. There's not a lot of point. Anyway, they made an announcement that kind of made some people raise their eyebrows in more ways than one.
Oh yeah.
they announced that their first generation of x86 in-house CPUs will be known as Polestar, and they will be sold in the Chinese domestic market. So there's the CEO holding up the CPU right there. Now, just from this tiny little thumbnail, you might notice something, but let's keep scrolling down, shall we? Mm-hmm. The new CPU will be sold essentially in OEM packages for system integrators and specifically like business type machines. So, your small form factor desktops and straight up OEM style machines. The new chip is rated at 3.7 gigahertz and has 4 cores and 8 threads. There's some similarities, though, that I really can't shake. And you can especially see them when we scroll down just a little bit further. And let's go ahead and click on that image right there. Let's just let this one sink in for a second.
Yeah. Those two are the same thing.
The test pads are identical. The IHS is identical. It's the same clock speed. It's a very similar stamp number. So the actual part number. Many people don't know this, but Intel doesn't internally refer to their chips as i3 10100 or 10105 or whatever else. They refer to them by this 5-digit number. It usually starts with an S. And so SRMJR is an internal part number. SRH3P is Intel's internal part number for the i3 10105, which also happens to be a 4-core, 8-thread, 3.7 gigahertz in a socket 1151.
Just happens to be.
Happens to be.
Yeah.
What are the odds? Probably not that good that no shenanigans are going on.
Yeah. There's no corporate espionage happening at all.
Right. Yeah. There have been rumors that some intellectual property has left certain areas in tech over the last number of years. It would be very interesting to find out if these are essentially rebranded, remicrocoded Intel chips. Now, are they using the same silicon? Are they using like unsold dies? That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, that's what my thought was.
This also, unless they're going to... But see, these chips were manufactured in-house by Intel on their machines with their process. So recreating that process elsewhere, not entirely undoable, but I would say difficult. Yes, TSMC also has a 14 nanometer process and a 10 nanometer process. Yes, TSMC is probably more than capable of producing silicon within a certain rate. I don't know if they would be able to just slap Intel silicon down onto a PCB substrate and then sell them as like brand new chips. Right. It's certainly possible, but you're kind of leaping into the bounds of unlikely based on TSMC's scheduling and current over demand for a lot of their processes. And you can go back over the last couple of years of Nvidia and Samsung and Apple and even Intel and AMD working with TSMC and then, basically selling out of fab time. Is this legit? Define legit.
Yeah, don't know.
Define legit.
You have to get a hands on it to find out.
Right. And I certainly want to get hands on it. And even the name is similar. It's the P301105.
Yeah. Someone over there was just slightly dyslexic when they were trying to copy the numbers.
Yeah. But yeah, it can't be mere coincidence that these chips are socket for socket identical. Like, yeah, it can't be a coincidence. Now, Intel often has unsold chipsets, and Chinese manufacturers have been very, I kind of brought attention to it originally, at least in the Western market, of either using new old stock chipsets on motherboards and creating new products with them, or desoldering decommissioned boards and removing chipsets and then soldering them onto new PCBs. Both of which are fantastic ways to keep, some things out of e-waste and, create new products and create new demand for older gear.
Older stuff, yeah.
It's personally a gig that I like. I like seeing companies do this. If it's straight up stolen, that's a problem. If
this kind of looks like that to me, personally.
It might be. It might be that they're contracting with, gosh, who's the other big silicon? Not TSMC. Oh gosh, the other one. The other one that AMD used for years. Anyway.
I can't remember the names either.
Yeah. This could be that they have the designs and the schematics and they're contracting it out to an actual silicon manufacturer and getting these substrates cut and then slapping them onto PCBs. It could be. It could be these are new old stock that they've simply relasered a new tag on. That's equally feasible.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah,
just some chips that fell off the back of a truck. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
It seems very odd that you'd have enough numbers to announce that you're bringing in-house or homegrown domestic silicon to the Chinese market, and then literally hold up an Intel fab, though. Like, it's just weird. This story is going to have so many ins and outs by the time it's done, but all we know right now is what Power Leader is saying. And Power Leader is saying they have a new Polestar x86 CPU in the works and in hand. So
I like the Polestar picture that they got in the front there. They got like the Chinese J. Jonah Jameson in there. Fuck.
Yeah.
That chip.
Yep. Gonna be interesting to see as this one goes through. TSMC Qualcomm. Good lord. Global Foundries.
Global Foundries. Okay. Yes. Okay. There they are. Somebody just said that.
I beat Tanmay too. I do want to say I was on a different window. I clicked back and then their comment was there. But I did that on my own. So.
All right.
I can still Google. Oh, that is so good. Moving on into traffic. And not the internet kind, the actual kind.
Yeah. This is kind of something we don't normally talk about. It's kind of interesting.
Right, kind of an interesting concept. So a suburb of Montreal is experimenting with a new speed, traffic flow, and fining infrastructure to both improve traffic safety, reduce accidents, and just make everyone safer in the process. And that is by only giving green lights at intersections if you've been obeying the speed limit between the red lights.
Yeah.
And it is just exactly what it sounds like. It is, they will monitor your car between certain points. And if you average faster than the speed limit, you will get a red light at the next intersection. You will have to wait.
You have to slow down.
Right. Which means you'll get to your destination faster and not have to stop if you just drive the speed limit. It's a very, very interesting concept.
It's a new concept. It's kind of a play on like what here in the U.S. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, where they have here is your speed and here's what the speed limit is, and they have those portable things all over the place.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how effective they are. I know just me personally, I kind of instinctively just slow down because of it. I'm just an older driver, I guess. I don't care.
Right.
I think a lot of people are just like, whatever. They don't have cameras in those things. They're not.
Some of them do
because of it. Some of them do.
Some of them do.
Some of them do.
The one by you gets really annoying because sometimes they'll put red and blue lights on it. So if you drive too fast, it'll start flashing.
Yeah. And then you really freak out.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, this one's.
Oh God, the trailer's coming to get me.
This one's completely different. They make you completely stop, and if you do run that red light, knowing that what it is, what the scheme is, they will ticket you.
Yeah.
For running a red light.
Yep. So,
yeah, it's kind of an interesting new concept, and apparently in the article it says that they've been doing this in Europe in some places, and have been having some modicum of success with it.
Yeah.
But of course, Europe's the home of the roundabout.
Yeah.
Which is, it makes sense in some places, but doesn't make sense in others.
I wish Americans could learn roundabouts. Like I really do.
I do like roundabouts. I think they're efficient in some scenarios, but not in all scenarios.
Right. And I would say in more scenarios than they're not.
I would say in the not urban, but more like your suburb intersections, your more well-traveled suburban intersections, they make a lot more sense.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
they just make traffic flow so much better, especially when you have traffic going more one direction than the other.
That's exactly what I was going to say. When the majority of your traffic is going into town or coming out of town, or ebb and flow of rush hour or whatever else, where 80% of drivers are traveling a single direction, it keeps traffic moving the way it should without having to stop that entire 80% flow to let two people cross a street in the cross section. It's I do like them. When I'd just gotten my driver's license, and down by my house they put in one of my city's first large-scale roundabouts. Like, they had a couple small ones in neighborhoods where it's like the roundabout is literally like a pole in the center of the intersection, and you just drive around it. But this one was like a full, 2-lane, you're sweeping around kind of thing. And my very first time as a driver driving into the roundabout, someone ran the stop sign and forced me onto the center median.
Wow. Because they didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't know what they were doing. They just busted right through.
Through it, yeah.
So, yeah, that was fun. My very first experience in a roundabout was someone trying to run me off the road.
It's also fun to see the viral videos where people aren't used to the roundabouts and they're drunk and they just go flying through the center and go, woo!
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah. There isn't an achievement for that in most Grand Theft Autos.
Oh, is it really?
Well, there's the stunt jumps and everything else. So
yeah, I know the stunt. Yeah, the stunt jumps. Yeah.
One of my favorites was in Grand Theft Auto 4. There was, I think it was a roundabout. Right as you're heading back towards your first apartment, your starter apartment that Nico has. There was like a roundabout, but it was like a 3-sided roundabout, and there was a set of houses on the other side, but you could come into that thing with like a mile of run up, and if you hit the center just right, you would catapult yourself over 2 or 3 houses and land on Nico's street and like slide into the parking spot. It was pretty great.
Oh yeah.
Did miss a super chat, Elmas. Thank you very much, Elmo. $10. Yay, PC build. $10 to add RGB. LOL. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I have no bespoke RGB components on this build. And
sacrilege.
I said bespoke. They don't
bespoke.
exist simply to provide RGB.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have RGB fans. I've got a non-RGB cooler. I do have RGB memory, and the board itself has a little color flare. But this is gonna be kind of a build for the purists. So
more subdued. It's not as flashy.
Yeah. But that said, pretty much the entire system is color matched too, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. What's the color scheme? That's not a spoiler. Color scheme's not a spoiler.
It'd be a spoiler in a couple of regards.
Okay, you could say it's not like mustard yellow and ketchup red.
It's not old power supply colors. You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No ketchup and mustard here.
All right.
And then Tech Geek sends over a member chat. Thank you very much. Evening, gents. Late to the party, but I'm here. First day off in over a week, so I get to sit and watch the show for once. Awesome.
Hey, welcome.
Cheers
welcome
to that.
To the show.
Yeah. So do you think in the areas that we live or the cities that we traverse, systems like this would be effective? Especially because what Montreal seems to be doing is targeting more residential areas with it. Do you think systems like this would be effective?
I'd have to. I don't know. I'll have to see. I think so. I mean, like I said, I think that just parking the speed you're going and telling you what their speed limit is seems to help quite a bit in certain cases. But as soon as people take those away, it goes speeding back up.
Yep.
This one seems to be more of a permanent solution, and it's something different than speed bumps, which I'm always super annoyed by. I think it's something that could probably work. I actually know some people who live in Montreal. Been kind of go see if they know anything about this.
Yeah, I'd be curious as well. Have you seen them? Do you see people stopping? Are they effective? Have you been ticketed? Like there's a lot of questions that I have around a lot of this. So,
well, just about everybody I work with, they're remote, and so they don't have an office to drive to. So they probably drive as much as I do. So the answer is probably no.
Right.
I've never seen them before. What's driving? I don't know.
I at some points go like 4 and 5 days
without driving,
without leaving my property.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I went to the liquor store today to get some beer, and I'm like, I kind of miss driving sometimes. It's not very far. It's not a long drive to the liquor store. Yeah. But it was a nice sunny day, and opened the sunroof and drove down. It was fun.
As someone who genuinely loves to drive, loves cars, loves everything about it. That is one downside of working from home and being self-employed is I don't get to drive to work anymore. And I know that sounds like such a first world problem. Like, oh, you don't have to commute anymore. Yeah. My commute was so chill and relaxed and actually fairly pretty most of the time. I'm driving through the countryside and towards the side of a mountain and things like that. And I actually very much enjoyed my commute for the most part.
Yeah, and 50% of my old commute was like yours, quite pleasant, going in the back roads and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but the other 50% was just absolute misery.
Right. But the thing is, I was always traveling in the opposite direction of rush hour, and so I would be buzzing by people as they sat still on the other side, and the number of days that I had to spend in traffic over a 13-year career, I could probably count on both my hands.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna be like more than 10 minutes late.
Yeah,
like I could time it within 2 or 3 minutes every day.
You didn't really have to hit I-5 or anything, any kind of major freeway or anything like that. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You were down south though.
Yes.
You weren't going north.
No,
I was always going north.
Yeah. I was going away from people.
Been. Yes, you were going away. I was always going towards people. In fact, it's kind of funny because my old commute is very, very similar to what John's is currently, and so I know exactly.
Oh, I know exactly where he works too, and yeah. No,
I know where all the choke points are because I've lived through all those choke points as well.
Yep, there was a time I lived or worked significantly north and like all the way up into downtown and waterside and or waterfront and all that. And then had to drive back at 4:45.
Oh, and that's the worst. That was the worst.
Yeah. So I have lived that life. Yeah. Don't think I'm forgetting or longing for that period in my life. No.
That's the part that makes you not want to drive.
Right.
But you're right. The nice commute on a nice sunny day in the back roads area, just going home, that's like the greatest.
Yep.
That's really nice. It's fun.
Yep. And actually later I started doing a lot more backcountry roads where I would just drive out in the country, and it's like, yeah, I'm driving an extra 6 miles, but I'm getting there 2 minutes faster because there's not even a stop sign out here.
Yeah, you just go zip right through it.
You just bomb it. So I miss that. Oh, and especially because I got to drive through hop fields the whole time.
And then in August, you get stuck behind hop tractors and trucks.
It's like, oh no, this is the worst. Especially because I drove a convertible, so
it smells great.
It's August, and it's like, fresh hops straight into my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh, that beer is sitting so good. You mentioned having a maltier profile.
Yeah.
Definitely this one. It's been a number of years since I've had Dr. Lapalin. Man, it's like a nice blanket.
Yeah. But it's because the malt profile becomes so sweet, it's almost like hop candy.
Yeah.
It's so tasty.
Yeah. No, this is like drinking a nice, crisp, cold, dry IPA by the fire with a fleece blanket on. Like you're just comfortable. I wish there was another way to describe it, but
no, I know exactly what you mean. I do miss the old school, really good Imperial West Coast IPAs.
Yeah.
Everything's so hazy now, but
this is definitely a throwback to to the Stone, their big double IPAs and things like that.
Boneyard,
Sierra Nevada, Breakside. Some of the great, original IPA makers on the West Coast. This is a phenomenal homage to them.
Mm-hmm.
This is almost like a Sticky Hands, but over malted.
Yeah. Yeah, Sticky Hands is definitely more hop forward.
Yeah,
I remember Dr. Lupulin being a little more
this is
malt forward.
This is fairly hoppy, like all the way through. Like that, there's definitely a nice, like I said, kind of maltiness, but it's more like mid flavor to me.
Okay.
This is leading with hops, and then it's definitely ending with that lupulin oil. It's coated everything, and you're going to be tasting hops for the next 3 days.
You're going to burp it up.
But it's that like nice creamy nougaty center of malt is just kind of sitting right there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that hop kind of permeates a lot of things. I actually got I did some friends over, and we did a big charcuterie board, and I had found beer salami. So there was 3 different types of beer salami. It was an IPA, lager, and stout. And
okay,
I can't say I particularly enjoyed them all, but actually the stout salami with a good mustard was actually quite good.
Yeah.
But the IPA salami, it just did not, because you cannot mistake that hop flavor.
No.
And that's not something you really want in a savory salami.
Right. Like, I don't know a lot of those who partake who are, pass the summer sausage.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's not something that goes together.
Right. I mean, it was interesting. I do like trying different flavors and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, that one was not. That was more a miss than hit.
Yeah. Some things are better left untested.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, my sister she gave me a bunch of like beer hot sauces, and I didn't like a single one.
Yeah.
There's something about mixing beer and hot sauce. I mean, I love beer and I like hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Mixing the two together seems like something that would work.
Yeah.
But I didn't like a single one of them. I ended up throwing them out because did not like them.
Yeah. Nvidia has announced new tech for compressing textures in games through their neural networks.
Yeah.
And the sound of it is up to 16 times the resolution of your textures with less overall VRAM usage.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk over the last 3 to 6 months of 8 gigabyte cards are dead. You have to have 12. You have to have 16. And this is specifically rated to or revolving around 1440p content, 1440p to 4K, and sometimes even higher, where a lot of games. So you've got Hogwarts Legacy and Jedi Survivor and a couple other of these other newer titles that are dishing out such high poly counts, texture resolution packs, etc., that not only are the game installs inflating to like 150 and 200 gigabytes
huge
for a single game, but 8 gigabytes is unable to play the game at 1440p. And
it just stutter too much. It's too much swapping.
Right. And it's there's too many textures in the buffer to properly be able to manage it all. And so there's been a lot of talk that, 8 gigabyte cards are dead. You have to move on. You cannot game with 8 gigabytes in the modern era. Well, Nvidia is aware of that issue. They seem to be aware of that issue on their software side of things, although the fact that they have a 4070 Ti that ships with a max of 12 gigs of RAM and an upcoming 4060 Ti, which is going to ship with either 8 or 16.
You'd probably want the 16 one, do you think? If that
tells me they might not be aware of all the issues that are going on. But from a AAA game standpoint, from a compression technique standpoint, this is pretty much good news for everyone, because at the end of the day, this is going to mean less overall storage required, lower memory requirements, and implementation via very accessible APIs in a lot of game engines and texture modeling packages that a lot of developers will already know.
Yeah, and just looking at some of the compression, versus the current block compression, which is kind of the traditional way of doing it, the comparisons between that and their way of doing it, very impressive. I mean, you can just look at this picture here. You can see the little circle thing in the middle is kind of smudged and blurry, but in the new the new compression, you can see the cracks, you can see all the other things. Very, very nice. And if you look at the percentage that's compressing, it's doing like at least a 40% more.
So here's the numbers. So traditional uncompressed texture, so that's what we're looking at on the right. It's a 4K by 4K image, so 4096 by 4096 pixels, and at a raw, uncompressed, full color resolution, it's 256 megabytes. Traditional compression at 1024 by 1024 compresses it to 5.3 megabytes. But using NVIDIA's
5.3.
Or sorry, 5.3. NVIDIA's new algorithm, though, they're able to get the same 4096 by 4096 with actually higher detail than the 1024 image at just 3.8 megabytes. And so that's what this image is telling you. And actually, if we take a look at the bottom image here, you can see kind of the depth data as well, where there's so much more contrast around the texture in the image versus it really blurs out in the 1024 old compression, block compression methodology. And this is on an object that's, we're zooming into that. Now, do you need that level of detail in every single game we're going to play?
Oh, absolutely not.
Probably not. But
it's more of a compression demonstration to how well it still preserves the original image and the detail, without without sacrificing space.
Right. Yeah, and better compression algorithms. It's better for everyone. Everyone downstream is going to win from this. From GPU manufacturers, so Nvidia might not need to include as much memory in the future, or maybe they can hold pat a little bit longer. You've got developers who get better quality products for less resources on the consumer side, which means they can lower the requirements of their games and include more consumers and console releases in their release. And we as consumers get better products overall. So,
oh yeah. Now this is exciting, but if you read a little bit more into this article, the technique that they use to do this, I believe that the textures have to be all compiled into one texture pack in order for this to work correctly. So it's not like you can't just take an old game and swap it out and it's going to work. Apparently there's additional coding that needs to go along to make that work. So if this does get adopted and it does get widely used, people are probably going to start doing re-releases and stuff like that to probably support this. You're going to see like an 18th version of Skyrim with 8K textures or whatever coming out with this compression.
What makes you think I don't already have that?
Well, I know there was a re-release of like 4K textures, or there's a 4K texture pack for Skyrim that they released.
I will say what I'm getting really annoyed with, and the reason I'm more excited about this than I probably should be, is because I am very much I've always been a micro electronic enthusiast of like how much of like big scale technology can we cram into like handheld devices and Palm Pilots and cell phones and things like that. And my problem is as I've gotten into reviewing handheld gaming consoles and micro PCs and things like that, it's so frustrating going to benchmark a game, knowing you're going to run that game at 720p or maybe 1080 in some fringe cases. And you go to download Fallout 4 and it goes, oh, you have to have the 4K texture pack, which means this is now 120 gig install when it should be a 40 to 60 gig install.
Right.
And it's all texture data. Or in the case of Call of Duty, it's all sound data that they just didn't bother compressing.
Different languages that they put in there. You have to download all the different languages.
Right.
And so,
and so it would be so fantastic if we could finally start recompressing some of these textures. Especially for the sake of mobility,
drive space.
Focused gamers.
Well, of course you got the Steam Deck, which is just absolutely taking off. You're going to be able to have more AAA newer titles to be able to run on it because you're not going to take up that much space. So this is going to be a boon for everybody. But it's still in the early stages. It's not like ready for prime time yet. But I mean, it's looking super promising.
Yes, it is. All right. Let's talk about the big news. And this has actually been going on longer than I was even aware of. I've apparently been out of the emulation scene a little bit too long, as I didn't realize that Nintendo's upcoming Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is due out on Friday, was leaked over 2 weeks ago.
I know. I totally missed that one too. I mean, I kind of got whispers in it, but I thought it was like some screenshots that were leaked or something.
That's what I thought as well. No,
but I didn't know the actual
cartridge
ROM was
went into circulation.
Yeah.
So full game, and Nintendo obviously is not that happy about it. Now, one thing we haven't heard of is Nintendo sending Pinkerton agents to people who bought the game online. Just saying.
Yes, I heard that.
But Nintendo is obviously not thrilled that their breadwinner was leaked over 2 weeks early in its full playable form. And people have already got it running inside emulators. They have already got it upscaling to 1080, 1440, 4K, and even beyond. They've already got a 60 FPS patch out for it.
Uncapping FPS,
There's already save game editors, and people have already fully deconstructed, not decompiled, torn apart this game based on Breath of the Wild, and it's the same game engine and very similar gameplay, very similar mechanics as far as the underlying software goes. But yeah, apparently it's been fully playable for like 2 weeks. Which means Nintendo has started a whole new round of DMCA takedowns for emulators, tools, or anything of the like that they might find in any way, shape, or form to be outside of the approved use case of the Nintendo Switch. Because Nintendo believes that it is their hardware, they're just loaning it to you.
Well,
I do take a serious note here, and that leaks this early are potentially damaging. Now, there's so many different ways to look at this. We talked about the Magic the Gathering story. Steve, are you familiar with that one? With the Pinkertons going after the Magic the Gathering guy?
Yes, I did. But this guy was completely innocent. They gave it to him on accident.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Yeah, he accidentally got shipped something and then had private detectives threatening him 10 years in jail time. And we're going to call the cops and get the sheriff involved and everything. Like, straight up intimidation tactics by Wizards of the Coast. And screw those guys.
Gestapo's of the coast. Yes.
Right. Here you have the... we're here about some magic cards.
This has got something with your Magic of the Gathering cards.
So you have a way better voice than I do.
Oh, I love The Godfather.
Yes, so good. So we haven't heard of them sending Pinkerton agents. However, they are in full DMCA mode, which... for Nintendo, that's saying something.
Well, Nintendo wouldn't send out Pinkertons. They'd send out the Yakuza.
Don't go there.
You go emulate their game, and you come back with a ear cut off or something.
Oh crap! I drive a Nismo too. Sorry, that was terrible. Yeah, so you don't hear about that. However, Nintendo has always been aggressive, specifically towards their fans. Who has the right to stream games? And Nintendo says that's our intellectual property that you're playing on Twitch. And like, well, yeah, the assets are, but what I'm doing with them, you never intended, because every action that I take is derivatively unique, and so. You can consider this performance at this point.
I think it's less damaging for Nintendo because they definitely have a base that doesn't really go for emulators that much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are. I mean, I know it's out there, but there's a lot of people out there that they just want to buy the game and play it.
Right.
They don't even know the emulators exist. Half the people do. And
my copy will be here Friday. Like,
yeah. I mean, even people who do that, they still want a legitimate copy. So. It's different than when something like this gets leaked on PC early, because pirating is very easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's on your computer, it's on your computer. This is different. I mean, you
to everyone who has always said I pirated the game to see if it was good, and if it's good, I'll buy it. You know, you're full of crap. Don't pull that. But
they'll buy it like maybe 10 years later when it's on sale on Steam for like $2.
Like $2. Yeah. Hey,
look at it. Look at it.
I've done you a favor.
Yeah.
This deal you cannot refuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Nintendo though, it's a little different. People want to be able to play it on the Switch, and there really hasn't been major pirating on Nintendo hardware since like the Wii.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there was a massive oversight by either Nintendo or Nvidia, or potentially both, when it comes to the original Switch, because there was a hardware level BIOS or bootloader unlock.
I do remember that, yeah.
That was done by grounding out a couple pins on one of the controller ports. And that required there's no software fix, there's no patching around that. That is a bootloader injector meant to recover bricked consoles. And Vince says, is that NBA Jam? You better believe it's NBA Jam. Tournament edition. There you go. But Nintendo actually went through and revised consoles, used different pins. obfuscated or even eliminated those pins, even from the CPU itself, to no longer have that attack vector valid. And so if you have an OG Switch, it's unlockable, just period. If you don't, there's really no way in. At least none that anyone has found thus far.
Right. So emulation is your only course of action at that point.
But there's always been widespread piracy. The problem is that Nintendo legitimately believes, and I will stand by this as a longtime enthusiast and as someone who's emulated games as far back as like 1994, is your pirates are also 99% of the time your best customers. They're the ones who pay you the money. They're the ones that will buy everything, period. Will you get all of their dollars? Maybe not. But you get more dollars from them than you get from anyone else. And leaks like this, they might cost you a couple % in sales, but it's not like this detrimental, no one is going to buy this game. This game is still going to be a hit. I guarantee you they're shipping 2 million copies on Friday. Like, just flat out.
The anticipation for this game is pretty high. I doubt this is really going to be that detrimental to
They're going to ship 2 million copies at $70 a piece. And I was happy to throw down that cash.
The only time when a leak this late in the game is detrimental to a game is
when it sucks.
It's when it sucks. Yeah, and everybody starts to know it, right? When a game is leaked, it's like, oh, guys, don't get this. It sucks.
Had No Man's Sky leaked 2 weeks early.
Oh yeah. That would have been pretty bad for them.
That would have been bad because that game is. We always say it's like the resurrection story of the decade of like, holy crap, they took this absolutely steaming pile of crap that Sony made them take and turned a legitimate game and a genuine community and everything into it, but it took like 2 or 3 years after the release of the game.
Right.
The thing is, had No Man's Sky leaked 2 weeks early, no one would have kept their pre-order.
Yeah.
That game would have been bankrupt from the word go. Because it's a game that takes you 10 to 15 hours to realize at launch that it's a mile wide but an inch deep. I actually tried to get a refund from Steam. I had played it for 13 hours on opening weekend. I bought it came out on a Friday. I bought it on Friday. It released at like 10 p.m. or something like that. I played it from 10 until 5 in the morning. And then I went to bed, and then I got up and did my thing and whatever else, and came back to it that night and played another, so many hours. And I had 13 hours into it. I had gotten my ship fixed, and I had left the planet, and I'd visited like 2 other planets and a space station and things like that. But the thing is, by the time you hit your 3rd or 4th or 5th planet, you go, this looks a lot like the last planet. Are there supposed to be more resources? Because all I'm finding is aluminum and gold.
Yeah.
Is there supposed to be more crafting? Because nothing's unlocking. Is there supposed to be this wide race of beings and intergalactic battles? Or is it just the one space station and a couple of ships that you clip through because they're not actually AI? They're being animated based on pre-done loops. They're not interactive at all. And so it's like, but you have to get to that point where you can leave the planet before you realize you kind of been scammed. Man, if this was the case with this game, this would be $1 billion in sales down the drain. However,
but
even
this
with
is
all
Zelda
the leaks,
we're talking here.
Even with all the leaks, people are going like, holy crap, it's better than I thought. It's better than the trailer gives, and holy crap, that was a really good trailer. So yeah, leaks sometimes hype things up too.
Absolutely.
Well,
I mean, even more so, it might even help them if it leaks and people are saying, no, this is better than we expected.
Right.
And then people who are on the fence are going to be like, all right, dude, I'm going for it. Because there are diehards out there that are like, no, I'm not buying day one.
Mm-hmm.
There are people like, I've been burned too many times. I'm not buying day one. But it gets leaked ahead of time, and they're like, no, this is way better than we expect.
Yeah.
And then those will bring those people in.
I will say, never pre-order. Unless, big caveat there, it's a Bethesda RPG or a Nintendo first party.
if it's a Bethesda RPG, it's gonna be buggy.
It's gonna be
but
buggy, but it's gonna be one of the best
gonna be
games
the
you've
most
ever played, and you're gonna put 1,000
buggy
hours into it.
Yeah, you're gonna put your I still remember. I didn't pre-order Skyrim, but I did get Skyrim day one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still probably one of my most favorite purchases
Mhm.
I've had. I sat there, and it was my birthday weekend when I had it. We went out to the coast.
Uh-huh.
I brought my computer with me so I could just sit there and play Skyrim at the coast, and I had a blast.
By the way,
It was
Steve
so
said
fun.
computer, not laptop.
No, I brought my whole desktop with me.
Words
Everything.
have meaning, and Steve did not
Yes.
stutter.
I did not bring a laptop. It was my whole desktop with me.
Nice.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I had an absolute blast doing that.
Yeah. No.
Bugs and all. I ran into tons of bugs and giants that went flying off the screen, but you know what? It was still
so enthralling and engaging,
Yeah.
and just the right mixture of everything. And
absolutely loved it.
and so there's a couple things you can count on. Zelda games are gonna be great, unless they're Game Boy Advance, or sorry, not GBA, DS. The DS games were terrible. But
Some of them were okay, but I mean, yes, they're not the same level.
Spirit Tracks, really? You're a Spirit Tracks fan?
I never played Spirit.
Well, there
Tracks,
you go.
to be honest. Okay. I didn't
There
play that
you
one.
go.
Okay.
I loved Wind Waker, and these
Wind
both the
Waker's
games are in the
great,
style of Wind Waker, and whatnot. And I they were hard. They were hard to play. But then you've got gold in there like Minish Cap for Game Boy
Minish
Advance.
Cap was fun.
Minish Cap was amazing.
I love Minish Cap.
So yeah, most Zelda games you can just buy day one, spend the $50 to $70 on it. You're gonna love it. Bethesda RPGs, they'll be buggy as hell, but you'll be playing them for the next 1,000 hours, so you're welcome. Beyond that, there's not a lot of guarantees in this world other than death and taxes.
Things that used to be guaranteed did not. I mean, it used to be that Mass Effect. You say, hey, Mass Effect, that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, third one was a little disappointed, but still good. But then
Right.
when they came out with Andromeda, you're like,
yeah.
Red
Faction. Red Faction was another one that went like, the first one was like kind of this out of nowhere, who's this developer and everything else. And it's like, holy crap, what an experience. And then Red Faction 2 came out, and it's like, okay, you kind of refined a couple of things. You took away some of the like bigger things that I liked, like the ridiculousness of like being able to bore through the entire map, but still have like most things destructible. And that's all I've ever wanted in a game, is to have a shooter that's also fully destructible. And it was that. And then Guerrilla came out, which is Red Faction 3, and it is fantastic, and in fact has a remaster that's amazing. And then Armageddon came out, and you're like, and all of a sudden it's like a rail shooter, and you're like, what the crap is this?
What happened?
Well,
same thing with like Thief. Like they did Thief 1 and 2 were both excellent games. Thief was groundbreaking in its gameplay.
3 was still incredible.
And then they did the reboot. This is like, oh my
Awful.
God, this is so disappointing.
Right.
So disappointing.
Yeah.
So
Thief is one of those games that they did it dirty.
They really did.
They did.
And it kind of killed the franchise too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh well, if this one's gonna be good, then maybe we might get another renaissance of Thief games. But nope. It was
unfortunately. Which I think I've talked about this a couple of times. Gaming immersion is always one of those things that is so indescript. You can't predict what games are truly going to like grab people and put them into it. Emotionally, mentally, whatever else. Thief, specifically, number 2. What was number 2?
It was just called Thief 2.
That's right. It was Thief 2, and then 3 was Deadly Shadows. That's right. Yeah, it was The Dark Project, Thief 2, Deadly Shadows. Got it. Yeah. It was Thief 2. It was the second or third mission that you get, and I am young, early teens. Oh,
you were?
Yeah. Right. Oh, look at him. Early teens. And I remember playing with some really good headphones, and it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm on my PC, and it's Saturday night, and no one's awake in the house, and it's just me, and I'm Garrett, and I'm in this world. I've got my 17-inch CRT, and I want to know, man. And I remember this because one of the things that Thief advertised was the spatial audio.
Yeah.
Is they were one of the first games to truly try to incorporate not just stereo, but spatial audio.
Spatial awareness.
And especially if you had creative with an EAX API. I happen to have a creative card with AEX on it, or EAX on it. And so I'm listening through my headphones, and there was one point I was like 40 minutes into this mission, and hadn't saved. No quick saves, no nothing. Yeah. And so for those who've never played Thief, they're typically like 60-minute missions. And
because they're not short.
Yeah, they're not short. You have to learn the behavior of the guards in this particular level. Where are they going? What are they doing? What's their shift? What's their cycle? Where are my shadows at? Where can I hide? What torches do I have to kill? Where is it okay to be running and out in the open? And you learn all this as you're going through. And so I'm like 40 minutes in, and I've got like 1,000 in loot, and I'm a couple of rooms away from the objective, and I poke my head around a corner, and a guard spots me. I'm like dead to rights and whatnot.
He got you.
So I start running, and I'm running through this castle type place, and I remember hitting this courtyard, and there's some bushes in the corner of the courtyard, and so I ran behind the bushes and I crouched. And in Thief, lighting and sound is a really big thing. So if they don't see you hide, they'll go look for you. If they can't find you, the AI was the other selling point of Thief. They'll go find their buddies, and they'll come back,
to go help
and they'll sweep the area.
They'll come back. Yeah,
so good. Yeah. I remember being early teens and 11 midnight in this situation where I don't have a save that I can go back to, and I'm 40 minutes in, and I'm crouched in the bushes, and I hear guards walking all around me.
You're like, I'm screwed.
And
yeah, I mean it's one of those. I mean, I don't know, but you're like, because I remember going through runs like that too, and you're just like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, I'm so screwed now.
Yeah, F5 is right there, man. Come on.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping when they rebooted it, but it was just like a linear sneaker shooter.
Yeah,
is all it was, and it wasn't anything special at all.
Yeah, it was Hitman
like
Absolution.
Yeah, it was nothing like the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Those were something special.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna grab my other beer. I kept it in the fridge because I wanted to keep this one a little colder. So.
Oh, okay. Because you gotta
give me.
This is a porter, huh? All right. I already poured my the Symphonic Chronic, and I'm trying to remember if I like this one. I think it's okay. It's not as dank as I'd expect it to be, but it is pretty dank. Not anywhere near the Elysian's dank dust. That one is the dankest.
I actually just bought a 6-pack of that today too.
I mean, it tastes good.
It's really good.
But it smells so danky.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's. If you like the smell of going into a weed shop,
you will crack the bottle and have cops on your doorstep. Thief AI was also really cool. Vince says his Windows 98 rig has EATX or EAX. Good lord.
EAX, yeah.
That is such a foreign acronym to me anymore. EAX. I screwed it up twice because I started to fill in other acronyms that are way closer. So EATX or AEX or EAX. It was their spatial audio simulator and kind of the precursor to their The thing that we tried out at CES, Steve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was great too.
Yes. Anyway, second beer of the night. This one, I have no idea what it is going into it. I've never heard these words together. Okay?
Let's see what it is.
From Ex Novo Brewing.
Ex Novo's good, yeah.
Yep. Caribbean Cowboy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tropical Stout.
Okay, that's... you know what? I think I've had something kind of like that.
Tropical Stout.
This is Caribbean Cowboy?
Caribbean Cowboy.
All right, I gotta see if I've had this before.
6.8%.
Okay. Caribbean Cowboy.
Not the darkest I've ever seen,
Caribbean
but
Queen.
you know, a nice brown color.
Ex Novo, I have not had it.
Okay. Yeah, I've not seen this one before.
Okay. So it's yeah, they don't have a description.
Yeah.
So what kind of fruit flavors are they supposed to pertain to?
I get no description on the beer either. That's one thing I don't like about Ex Novo is
there was nothing on Untappd either.
It just says Caribbean Cowboy, Tropical Stout. And then if you roll the can over, it says Tropical Stout. And then it says 6.8%, Surgeon General's warning.
Well, I mean, coconut's also tropical, and that goes well with stout too.
Ain't no coconut.
But it could be, I mean, if you do like pineapple guava and stuff like that, that doesn't seem to bode well with the stout.
Uh-huh.
We'll see.
I will say, it's an attractive looking beer.
No, it's got a good head on that.
Right.
Nice pour.
And you know, it's not so thick that you can't see through it. Like, there's a little light coming through. You guys can't see it from that side, but there's a little bit of a glow to it. But Tropical Stout.
Yeah.
Here we go.
How is it? Let's give it a shot.
I've smelled this before.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Hopefully not at the bottom of a
No.
dumpster.
Porter.
Okay.
Porter.
Like a pretty well-known one?
Yeah. Oh,
Not like
no.
black.
Hold on. Lights Out Stout.
Oh, the lights out stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bend. Worthy Brewing.
Yeah.
That's what I smell. Is Lights Out.
Okay. So it's more of a roasty style.
More. Yeah, exactly. More of a roasted malt than a dark barley kind of. Yeah. Yeah. It's Lights Out Stout. That's what it smells like.
Yeah.
Those are some flavors I was not prepared for.
What are you getting?
When it hits your tongue, it tastes like pineapple juice.
Okay, that's weird.
It fades very quickly into Lights Out Stout, like a roasty stout.
So it's like they just got a good standard stout and threw some pineapple juice in it, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is so weird.
It's ex novo, huh?
And I don't necessarily mean like flavor profile. I mean like when it first hits your tongue, it feels like pineapple juice. Like it is super light bodied, and a little bitey. And then, you know, I think Lights Out is like an 8.0 or something like that. So this isn't that far off at 6.8.
Yeah. I doubt that their website's going to have any more information on it either.
Yes, super light bodied.
Here's a little bit on their website. Caribbean Cowboy. The West Indies influenced foreign export style stout uses indigenous molasses, lager yeast fermented slightly warmer to create a satisfying full body, sweeter, fruitier, less bitter version of traditional stouts. Go slow and enjoy the vibe. It does not say.
Like I said, I
whatsoever.
hesitate to say it's fruit flavored. What it reminds me of is super thin fruit juice, very light bodied fruit juice. And to that, they nailed it. And what I will say is, it's definitely much more on the roasted coffee bean rather than dark espresso side of things. It's definitely much more on the bittersweet chocolate, not the super rich cacao. Like the flavors in general are a little bit lighter, a little bit more playful.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because like they don't use. Well, I'm not too familiar because they do list the hops on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So Magnum and Centennial I recognize, but they're not the tropical style hops.
No, they're
Magnum
not.
is a very bittering hop.
Yeah.
Centennial is pretty standard for Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
But they also had East Kent Golding, which I don't know. I've
never heard of that before.
Never heard that one before either. That one could have some tropical notes to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That could be where you're getting
although,
the pineapple flavorings from.
But like I said, I hesitate to call it pineapple flavoring. Like it to me, it was not fruity. It was more. I was more trying to capture like mouthfeel. Like sometimes I'll say like, oh, you know, it's about like skim milk. Like I've done that one before. To me, this is just super, super lightweight. And so when it hits your tongue, it just kind of bites a little bit, but there's no pressure. There's no viscosity to it.
Right. Yeah, I doubt the East Kent Golding. I'm looking that up, and it's actually a predominantly UK hop.
Okay.
A European hop.
Mm-hmm.
This is apparently it's been around for a long time, since the 1790s.
Mm.
But the alpha acids are very, very low, so it's not going to have a lot of bittering.
Reverend called out. That's an OG UK hop. Way to go!
Oh yeah, there he goes. Yep, there he goes.
Nice.
I just looked it up.
Yeah. Do I think they accidentally blended two beers together instead of throwing them out and made this? No. I think this was very much on purpose.
There's been times where I think that they've had like porters and stouts that go bad, and they call them sour porters and sour.
Right, they call them, sour stouts or
whatever like that. And they're like, no, your stout
fruited porters and things. No, that's just it turned. It turned sooner than you thought it would. And you didn't take it in time.
You didn't want to waste it.
Right, and so yes, there are instances like that. I don't think this is that, because this is actually super enjoyable. Okay. I mean, I'm that far into it already because I keep going back.
I'll have to try it if I see it.
No, I think I nailed it from the get-go. I think I nailed it with Lights Out Stout.
Lights Out Stout's solid.
Yeah,
good
and I want to see if Lights Out also uses Centennial. Oregon hops, Cascade, Nugget, and Santiam. And Cascade is very similar to Centennial hops.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 7.7%. So we're only 0.8% away from that. Lights Out. Hybridized American Stout accentuates the subtle nuances of non-traditional ingredients, such as Bob's red mill oats and milk sugar, which lend a smooth body and some residual sweetness. The whole Madagascar vanilla beans show mostly in the aroma. And yeah, I didn't pick it right out. But yeah, the molassesy vanilla.
They did
say molasses, and so I think that's where I'm getting that. Is kind of that lighter, richer sweetness. Yeah. No, this is Lights Out Stout, but this side of the mountains.
Yeah, that's right.
It's solid. It's really, really solid. And it comes in pints.
It comes in pints?
You've had a whole half already. Yeah, because Worthy only comes in 12s.
Right, of course.
More Nintendo news.
Mm-hmm.
This one gets super interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a couple of leaked emulators that seem to be very, very accurate, completely out of the blue. Now, emulators typically have one of two ilks. Either number one, they're trying to get the games into a playable state as quickly as possible, which means however fast we can reach 60 FPS, and if it's not entirely perfect, we're cool. There are other emulators that try to go for machine-level binary zeros and ones perfection. And
they're actually trying to perfect the machine itself.
Right.
Yes.
And so if you go deep dive into your SNES and NES emulators, you will find decades worth of reverse engineering of everything that went into create the hardware to recreate that in software. And
that's how some of the original NES emulators were. They were hard to the metal emulation.
Yeah.
They were trying to emulate the hardware itself.
Correct. It wasn't until the Nintendo 64 became notoriously difficult to emulate that a different method of emulation came around called high-level emulation, otherwise known as HLE, which was developed by Ultra HLE trying to emulate the Nintendo 64. Rather than recreating the hardware calls, it was taking those hardware calls and processing them through software, and converting the calls from the native machine level 3D draw this polygon here into DirectX. and let that run. Or
OpenGL. They did DirectX and OpenGL were the two big ones.
Correct. And so that's where we kind of get our differentiating points of low-level emulation, hardware emulation, zeros and ones, actual hardware, XOR gates, and all that kind of stuff, and high-level emulation, which is what most emulators today are built on.
Yeah.
However, these emulators that recently leaked out for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advanced were seemingly too hardware accurate to be done by regular HLE standards of the day. And it seems, based on some leaked documentation, that Nintendo may have been the one that wrote these.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, Nintendo is obviously, notorious for like taking old games and repackaging them and reselling them to you.
Yes.
The Switch being the very first hybrid portable console where you can plug it into your TV or you can take it with you. Makes sense that they would try to develop something where you can play all your old favorite DS games, all your old favorite Game Boy games, everything like that. So we need to have something that will run on our current software. So we already have the specs. They don't have to reverse engineer anything because they already know it, right? So they probably just had a team to develop it for them. How it got leaked? I don't know.
Right.
It seems like that this might be the case.
Yeah. So, why do we think this is a Nintendo-developed product that has been kind of let loose in the wild? There's two emulators, nicknamed or codenamed Hikiro for the Game Boy and Sloop for the Game Boy Advanced. Both of them were leaked as full NSP files, which are Nintendo Switch ROM files, or Nintendo Switch executable files. Inside of these applications, if you launched them on the Switch, they had not only what looked like full compatibility for pretty much any Game Boy cartridge you could ever want, it also had a couple of very interesting menu options. One of them was accuracy testing, in which you could export your ROM to a flash cart to play on actual Game Boy hardware to test the accuracy of the software emulation. And interestingly enough, it shows an easy cart with a micro SD card.
Yeah.
which Nintendo probably seized 1 million of, so they've got lots of stock. But one of the options within this is to export so you can cross-check compatibility with actual hardware.
Yeah.
That's not a feature that's often included in emulators. It's usually something that's included in developer-only applications when they're looking to make sure they got all their X's and O's in the right order. So there's a couple other things as well. Emulating specific features of Game Boy hardware, even some that weren't necessarily fully implemented. And there's also been leaks or been references to these two emulators in the Mega Leak from a couple years ago, in which some of the source code for Mario 64 and some other major first parties IPs was verified to have been Nintendo originated. So did Nintendo mistakenly leak a 100% hardware accurate set of emulators for Game Boy and Game Boy Advance onto the world? They might have.
I don't know about mistaken, but maybe it was leaked. Nintendo's a big place. People out there. They could have gotten their hands on this. It's like, well, let's go put it out there.
Yep. Yeah, and as Ars Technica points out, while suggestive, none of this is exactly hard evidence of Nintendo's involvement in making these emulators. Some skepticism might be warranted too, because there is some historical precedent for an emulator developer trying to get more attention pretending their homebrews is a leaked official Nintendo source. And we've actually covered this one in the past as well, with Silhouette. I know we talked about that, and I've actually seen this video from MVG posted a couple of years ago. So yeah, but the fact that there are references to Game Boy and Game Boy Advance as it comes to Nintendo Online, to their online games marketplace, and whatnot, and the fact that we know dang it, there we go. Sorry, I was trying to reopen the tab. And the fact that we know Game Boy Advance emulation in the Nintendo Online Store has been exceedingly good. Like there are a number of things that Nintendo's gotten wrong in the past based on open source emulators that they've implemented to run Ocarina of Time, where the fog effect isn't working, which is a common thing with a lot of emulators of the day.
Very much
with aspect ratio, with glitching textures and things like that. Remember the state of Nintendo Online when the 64 online games were released? It was awful. If you're looking for authenticity, that was a pretty poor showing. However, Nintendo has been pretty much universally praised for their offerings when it comes to Game Boy Advance emulation, where they are integer scaling at a proper 3:2 aspect ratio, filling most of the screen and giving true 1-to-1 pixel ratios, unstretched, undistorted, true to the original gameplay, and being very, very accurate as far as hardware clock cycles. So your input timing, your frame perfect tricks are working on the Nintendo Switch, whereas they weren't necessarily working on the Nintendo 64 emulator, which is a problem inherent to N64 emulators because they use high level emulation. Now we're back to where we started. So are these from Nintendo? There's a number of people who say yes. I absolutely say yes. And MVG, as well as some others, are also fully convinced that between the leaks in Mega Leak, the evidence of, frame perfect, hardware perfect emulation, as well as references to testing to verify accuracy on external hardware, those aren't things you normally see in emulators in first runs. And this one has them all.
On first newly developed ones, not seeing them struggle and try to even if they're trying to do a hardware reversal emulation, And you're saying like in the first run that this is happening? Yes, it's very, very suspect.
And sorry, as Vince points out, Ultra HLE was actually made for Glide, not DirectX or OpenGL. Those supports came later.
Oh, okay. All right. I stand corrected. I don't remember.
In the back of my brain, I knew that, but there's also the risk of aging myself further. So
yeah.
Nintendo should do a Virtual Boy revamp, but with VR, and make it portable, like the Game Boy, worthy of the name Boy. Actually, one of the funnest things I ever did was for my Oculus DK2, someone had written a Virtual Boy emulator with full side-by-side 3D.
Yeah, but the thing with the Virtual Boy, because I didn't play too much. I never owned the Virtual Boy, thank God, but I did mess around with it. It's not VR. It's not AR. It's just your face is in there. That's all it is.
What's really funny is I actually have. Obviously, I'm very much an enthusiast for head-mounted displays. Yeah. HMDs is they're commonly referred to not in the space before VR was a thing. And so VR has been like, oh yeah, you got glasses on your face. It's VR. No, they're totally different things. I love head-mounted displays. I have forever. I've owned dozens of different models over the years. One of the things I liked doing with my, I have some Epson BT30s, is there's also a Virtual Boy emulator for the PC that you can play, and it will allow you to switch to side-by-side 3D mode. And so with my Epson head-mounted display, I can play like Mario Tennis and Waterworld and Tetris and
oh wow, you named 3 games that come out for the Virtual
right?
Boy. I think there's only 4 that came out.
No, there's Wario Land. There's
I do not remember. I remember Mario Tennis, and that's about it.
There's like 16 games in total. So
okay,
whoa.
All right, not that much, but yeah.
Yeah. What was the Vector Strike? What was that the name of the flight? There,
I don't remember.
Gosh, hold on. I have them here, Steve.
Okay, all right. Name them.
Vertical Force.
I do not remember.
Vertical Force.
Vertical Force.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
the entire library, top to bottom: 3D Tetris, Galactic Pinball, Japanese only, Mario Golf, Jack Brothers, Mario Clash, also Japan only, Mario Tennis,
Mario Tennis. I remember. Yeah.
Nestor's Funky Bowling.
What?
Panic Bomber, Red Alarm, Space Invaders Virtual Collection.
Nope.
Tellero Boxer, Vertical Force, Virtual Boy Wario Land, Virtual League Baseball, and Waterworld.
Okay, yeah.
Waterworld, which was only sold after the console had been discontinued.
Yeah, no one bought that thing. Nobody bought that thing.
No. It's one of the rarest cartridges in video gaming history. What's really... I know I've said this before. So I grew up down in the Eugene, Oregon area. And I was late high school. Junior, maybe senior. I was walking around downtown Eugene, and there was a new game store there. It wasn't a major chain. It wasn't the Game Crazy. It wasn't the... EB Games or anything like that. It was just a local.
They had Babbage's and stuff like that.
Yeah, there wasn't a Babbage. It wasn't Babbage.
No,
I think it was just a one-off operation.
Okay, some guy was just
just went like, I'm a collector. I want to sell some stuff. And I think that's what it was. Rented a little like 15 by 25 foot like storefront on the U of O campus. And I walked in there one day, and he had tons of fantastic deals on Super Nintendo and Game Boy stuff and whatnot. Up on a shelf, he had a Virtual Boy in the box with the controller, with the battery pack, and 11 of the 16 games.
Wow.
He wanted $50 for it. I didn't.
So this is like what, late 90s, early 2000s, around that time?
Early 2000s, yeah. Early 2000s. I didn't have $50.
Yeah.
I would have walked out of there with it.
Well, with all those games, that might have been super collectible. You
Right.
Don't know. Yeah.
Just the Virtual Boy itself, like no controller, no battery, like you can't even turn the damn thing on. They're going for like $300 now.
Are they really? I didn't know that there's that much.
I have lost
demand for that.
some eBay auctions bidding on Virtual Boys before, trying to get one just to have one, because I'm a huge lover of head-mounted displays and the history of virtual reality and things like that. I tried so many different VR headsets.
Not only that, Nintendo. This is Nintendo's Titanic. This is Nintendo's new Coke.
Right.
Everything they've done has been pretty much gold, silver, gold at least.
Right.
You know, this is their lump of
right
in their stock.
Yeah, this is yeah. Right next to Virtual Boy is Tales of Gamelon.
Yeah, this is one of Nintendo's greatest failures.
Yeah.
So there's not that much out there, and the thing is with people, if something becomes collectible because of rarity and demand, and so this seems to be something that could be very, very collectible. Not that it's people want to play Virtual Boy. It's just that people love Nintendo, and it's just very hard to find.
Right.
So then it becomes expensive and collectible.
Yeah. Here we go. eBay right now, $249 Virtual Boy console working with stand and game, but incomplete. No controller, no AC adapter, no battery pack. Here's one, $710 for the Virtual Boy controller, battery pack, and it looks like 5 games. Here's just the headset, no stand, no iCup, no anything else. Parts or repair, $100. Here's one with the box, and Mario Tennis, $600. So yeah, they are up there as far as collectibles go. And it, like I said, as very much an enthusiast of this technology as long back as I can remember. Right. And this goes back to the beginning of the video when I said, I love micro-sized electronics. Yeah. How much tech can you fit into the smallest space? That's always been something I fawn over. And the Virtual Boy was kind of the ultimate epitome and failure of said technologies. Yeah. And so I've always wanted one. I never had one. I spent quite a few hours with Virtual Boys. I had a friend who had one.
Yeah,
I would also ride the bus to the local Toys R Us, and I would play for like an hour at a time.
A couple demos that they had, and I think I remember going to the state fair, and they had like a whole thing set up, and I played it for like an hour. And all they had was Mario Tennis, I believe, at the time. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
because the whole red, it didn't really get to me.
Right. But yeah, no, I've always wanted one. So, and that's the one that I missed. Like
just that cap in your hat.
Right. I just wanted one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have some beer news to get to.
We can kind of cover these. Yeah.
Starting with the beer-powered motorcycle. I don't even know how to intro this one.
Okay, to be fair, this isn't necessarily powered by beer. They're just using beer to power it, because it's steam powered.
Yes,
just to be fair, but they have a keg for the reservoir for holding the liquid. So they thought, hey, let's throw some taps on it.
Yeah.
Let's make it look like a keg, and we'll fill it with beer so we can say it's beer powered. But honestly, what really happens with this thing is it gets heated up to 300 degrees. They build up pressure, and they escape the pressure out the back through some exhaust, and that causes thrust.
Yep.
And that makes the thing go forward.
Well, it rotates cylinder as well as yeah. So,
but
it's a steam engine.
But it's not like a substitute for gasoline. It's not like you have to use high proof beer to make this thing run. They're literally just making steam out of the beer. But I thought it was kind of funny. that they had it was beer powered. It was mainly because of the keg.
Yeah, Michael says heating water would be more efficient, and that was my first thought as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can do water in there.
Novella says, pour all the pickle beer you want into it. The problem is, it's going to smell like pickle no matter where I go.
But then people who like it will follow you wherever
That's
you
not
go.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
It had better be running off Corona.
Yeah. I mean, the guy says it's theoretically could reach to speeds up to 150. I find that kind of hard to believe. Steam powered.
How far downhill?
I mean, maybe if you start from an uphill position and go down, you might be able to reach those speeds.
Graham says, I've got a beer-powered bicycle. You know?
I mean, I do too. Everybody's got one who drinks beer.
I would love to make that joke, but you have to remember, in pretty much every jurisdiction around the country, riding on a bike is the same as driving a car. You can get a DUI on a bicycle even on a horse. So, keep that in mind.
Tractors and rideable lawnmowers.
Yep.
Lots of people have been
any vehicle.
DUIs. Yeah.
You can get a DUI. So, I get the joke. I love the joke. But keep in mind.
I mean, it also depends on how big of the assholes the cops are in your jurisdiction. You know.
And if you're going to get pulled over on a bike,
yeah, if you're drunk and on a bike, if a cop's a real asshole, he'll be like, okay, I'm taking you for DOI.
Right.
Most cops will be just laughing at you. It's like,
right.
Just
at least you're not driving. Right.
Yeah, just get the hell out of here.
Right. Yep. Tamna says it could reach the speed without the rider on board.
Maybe.
Eric says, now I'm wondering if you can get a DUI on a skateboard. That's actually a phenomenal question. Because the term driving implies that it is the vehicle that is changing your direction and accelerating. With a skateboard, you're not going any faster than you can run. You are powering on a 1-to-1 ratio.
I don't know. If you're going downhill, I don't think that's necessarily
going downhill. I'll give you, but on a skateboard, you are powering with a 1-to-1 or even
you're
less
using yourself.
ratio.
You're using your own.
There's no mechanical advantage.
Right. There's no gears on this thing.
And so, electric skateboard, sure.
Yeah, of course.
But the thing with vehicles is there's typically a mechanical advantage.
Right.
And yeah, going downhill, sure, but I can run faster downhill than I can run uphill.
You can't control yourself running downhill. You can only control yourself to a point.
Right.
Where if you're having a skateboard, the elimination of your limbs moving like this, it does give you a small advantage, but I mean, do you really want to go that far downhill when you're drunk?
Right.
You're going to end up in someone's rose bushes.
Trust me, I'm going to go a lot slower downhill when I'm drunk.
I know.
Public intoxication could be an offense, absolutely. So, there's all kinds of things that say, just don't get drunk and then travel, unless someone is doing the traveling for you. Right. So, yes, get an Uber, walk, whatever. Or try not to get that drunk in the first place. That's usually my main goal when I go to tap houses is, be there for 2 hours and have 2 pints.
Or have those 2 pints and then drink a bunch of water and hang out for a couple more hours.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean that's usually most times like I'm gonna go to the tap house. Okay, see you in 4 hours.
Yeah.
How much beer did you have? Oh, I had 2 flights and like 7 liters of water.
Yeah, exactly.
And I Ubered.
Yep.
It's always been something I've been paranoid about. So.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about this one.
It's gonna come up eventually because I know how John is, and he's gonna want this.
It's either we're gonna talk about it today or we're gonna talk about it next week. So we might as well get it out of the way.
Let's do it now
today.
Because I'm probably gonna be consuming this sometime in the future.
Mayonnaise beer.
Oh yeah.
Not just any mayonnaise beer, brewed with 120. Was it ounces or pounds?
I can't remember. Probably pounds.
Yeah,
Pounds. It was pounds. 120 pounds.
120 pounds.
Yeah.
Of mayonnaise in a batch.
Yeah.
In one batch.
Mayonnaise.
120
beer,
pounds of mayonnaise.
Guys. Mayonnaise
batch.
beer. I
have no words.
I love
I've
mayonnaise
seen
on
a
sandwiches.
lot of beers.
I love mayonnaise on a lot of things, but I never manage myself just scooping up mayonnaise and eating it. It's not something you want. It's something you add to things. So to make
mayonnaise is a garnish, not an ingredient. It's something to make my bread less dry, not something that I'm going to eat by the spoonful. And I'm looking freaking at you like Georgia and Alabama deep frying mayonnaise balls. What the? What is wrong with you?
I know.
But never have I ever said, you know what could make this light beer better? This American domestic lager better? 120 pounds of mayo.
I mean, I'm gonna give it up to Martin House for honestly coming up with just the weirdest ass beers they can ever think of. Things that you would think was a Photoshop that someone just made as a gag, they take seriously. You make the craziest ingredient Photoshop, and Martin House is like, you know what? I think that's a good idea. So, I have to give them props for that. But
yeah,
I already know. I have it on good authority that John has already have some ins to try to get this beer. And I guarantee you, I've done all the Martin House beers with him, so I'm probably going to be drinking this.
That's where I know that name from. Oh God. Oh God. How do they even clean their vats at this point?
Well, they're
Can they even be cleaned? Like the amount of crap that has gone through a Martin House brewery.
They probably just replaced the lines, I'm gonna guess, and just like high industrial. I have no idea. Yeah, because there's a lot of grease in this stuff.
They're mad. Go back on the history of Martin House, will you?
This is the thing that I don't understand about the mayonnaise beer, because grease and beer do not mix.
No.
One of the things I learned when trying to make a peanut butter beer is you do not want the oils in there.
You need to strip everything out prior.
And mayonnaise is mostly oil.
It's just whipped oil. That's all it is.
It is.
It's whipped oil and a stabilizer.
It's oil, eggs, and salt. That's all it really is. So I'm like, yes, it's great on a sandwich. I don't know if I want it in a beer.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if there's like a bacon beer out there, we can do a bacon mayonnaise. Like we could do a BLT type thing.
Get that pepperoni pizza beer back in here. We'll do a BLT.
No, you just get like a clamato or some kind of like michelada.
Oh God.
Just got like tomato in there.
Do a little red beer.
Yeah, a little red beer. A little mayonnaise in there.
Got salt the rim.
Yeah, that'd be okay. I mean, I could see that maybe working.
I did do red beer on the show one day with Rhett. That was interesting.
I'm not of all the beer styles, micheladas are like my favorite.
Yeah.
I'll still try them now.
Yeah.
I'll always will try.
I had it. It was all right. It was not great. I'll take it over a couple of like dirt cheap domestics. Like I will drink that before I'll drink a Coors Light.
Oh yeah,
flat out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Most domestics, I completely.
I'm gonna look in the cooler though and go, do you have bottled water?
Yeah. You got like some domestic light beers, and then you have White Claw. I'll probably hit the White Claw first.
I'll probably hit the White Claw first.
Yeah.
Give me some black cherry. I'm good all afternoon.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, White Claw, some of those seltzers are not bad.
Yeah.
To the lobster roll beer.
Oh,
I'd still try a lobster roll beer. That'd be fine.
Couple of quick stories before we leave.
Yeah, there we go.
So, did you know there was not only a Doom RPG, but a Doom 2 RPG
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. I do remember this. I do
Yes.
remember this because they were on phones that I did not have.
Yes,
And I
this
wanted to play them.
was released for the N-Gage
And I do remember the N-Gage, the most
and
over-engineered
Windows
phone ever.
CE phones from the day.
Yeah.
That's right. Doom and Doom 2 have an RPG. They're awful. They're dated. But you can now play them on PC thanks to faithful ports.
Of course.
And you can download them for free from doomworld.com. Is it Doomworld? I think it's Doomworld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's Doomworld.
Yeah, doomworld.com. There we go. I found it. Yeah. So, for those who don't know, the early aughts were a tenuous time of shrinking technology but not knowing what to do with it.
Right.
And so it wasn't until the iPhone that we're like, oh, that totally makes sense.
Look at what we can do. And even then, I still am not a big fan of mobile phone gaming, but it's come a long way.
Yes, but let's go back to like, can it work as a phone? Right. Because do you remember the Samsung Blackjack? Do you remember BlackBerry?
Nope.
Do you remember?
I remember BlackBerry.
Do you remember all of these? Looking back, horrendously dated, terrible interfaces that were like, this is cutting edge right now.
Let's because they had a phone, and they're like, let's try to cram a game in there instead of like, let's design a thing for gaming portably.
Right.
Let's take a phone and try to cram a game into it, and it was never a very good mesh.
So one of the best phones I've ever had is I had a Palm Trio 650, which was a Palm OS full keyboard. I loved that phone, and I held on to it until like 2012 when I finally broke down and got an iPhone.
Yeah.
And Android just wasn't doing it for me. It was too Wild West for my style, and I'm like, I just know what I like. And so I held on to that phone for like 6 or 7 years. I had the same phone. Okay? Same smartphone.
Yeah.
Like carriers had come and gone, and I was still on the same phone. But yeah, so it was the Wild West of anything goes, and how small can you shrink your OS back in the Windows CE versus Palm OS versus.
If you watch a documentary about the development of the N-Gage, it is absolutely hilarious because the final interface was a joke. It was a literal joke.
Yeah,
and the people.
Well, I guess you could always just do this.
Let's just do that.
Right.
I was like, seriously. All right, yeah, it was hilarious. But anyway, yes, please do go on.
Yeah, let's use non-symmetrical keys as our main interface that are kind of curved around your thumb.
Yeah.
They were ahead of the game though with the portrait aspect screen though.
Yeah.
You gotta give them credit for that. Yeah. But Doom and Doom 2 were released to these platforms as a role-playing game, which was predominantly text and story driven.
Yeah.
Very little action, but immediately familiar because it's actually running the Doom engine.
Yeah, but it was all turn-based.
It was all turn-based. There was no like live action combat. There was no run and gun, anything that made sense. It was an RPG, a text-based RPG that was running inside Doom's rudimentary 3D engine from 1992.
Yeah.
That's all this was. And someone, some way, somehow, 17 years later, has ported the entire game for PC. And you can download it now. Yeah. Don't miss this piece of gaming something.
Yeah, it's not great. It's gaming garbage.
Just check the YouTube video from the link. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It does not seem like something I'd ever want to play, but it's there. It's available.
Yep. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the copyright for Steamboat Willie coming up here very soon.
We did.
We were talking about something else with copyright and how Disney always manages to extend it. However, they seem to have lost a little bit of credibility when it comes to extending the copyright from their 1930s films.
Right.
And being like realistically like, no, we still totally use this as our main image and an artistic style. And while you can certainly say inspired by, Steamboat Willie is not Mickey Mouse.
No.
So Steamboat Willie is now in what do you call it? Creative Commons?
Yeah, I would think so. Kind of like with Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Where we have the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey.
Blood and Honey, yeah.
Yeah. So now we kind of have Mickey, kind of. I mean, because if you went outright and said Mickey Mouse, I think you would probably get slapped.
If you said Mickey Mouse, you'd be slapped.
But imagery around it, especially around like the Steamboat Willie age,
right.
which is not.
You could even say
anymore.
Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
You can't say Mickey Mouse, though, because that's what Steamboat Willie evolved into. But
right.
Steamboat Willie is now Creative Commons. It's yes. open domain.
Yeah.
And so there's a new game on Steam that is going to be coming to you soon called Mouse.
This looks great, dude. This looks so good.
It is a first-person shooter. It's Steamboat Willie with a Tommy gun with sprite-based 3D graphics, and I freaking love it.
I cannot.
Public
wait to
domain.
Try
Thank you. Open.
Yes.
I was
public domain.
Yeah. Yeah. Public domain. It is uncopyrightable.
Yeah.
So yes.
I mean, you can tell just by the video that this is early access. They're working on it. You can just tell by the maps and stuff that are going on.
There's no real maps out right now, but this
is like Cuphead meets Doom meets kind of BioShock.
Yes.
Type of stuff.
What's funny is
so
I love this style of art and animation, which is a little bit of new and a little bit of old, where it's like there's 3D elements, and the 3D elements are destructible and interactive. But there's this, 2D charm and stylization around them. Whether you call it cell shading, whether you call it something else, cell shading is just a method of painting 3D objects. But I love this style of new games.
No, this is not cell shading. This is 2D sprites in the
right.
Same sense that Doom.
Right, it's 2D sprites in a 3D environment, but they're adding
they're very well animated 2D sprites. They're like
new elements of 3D games that we expect, like destructible environments,
right?
And realistic shaders and things like that, but set in a black and white 2D Doom apocalypse thing. And I love it.
It just punched their head right off. It's great.
It's so good.
He smokes a cigar.
It's so good. There's nothing wrong with this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the gameplay could suck. I don't know. I'd still want to try it.
This is worth a playthrough.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah, so it's called Mouse. And it's actually been like one of the more, and even you just watch the video and you could tell this is still in super earlier development,
right?
But it's still been like wish list like crazy,
right? This is basically in the ilk of a retro shooter, but they don't really have, outside of gameplay mechanics, a game built for it yet,
right?
They have been creating the assets and then sculpting characters and animating and everything else. It still needs gameplay. It still needs map layouts. It still needs plot. It still needs whatever else. All of the things that come with a finished game. But the fact that they're taking this IP and turning it into a 1930s cartoon Doom knockoff. I'm so here for it.
I'm all behind it. I'm all behind it. This is great. I want to be able to be Mickey and blow some rat's head off and smoke a cigar afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. Like that, motherfucker.
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Do you read the Bible, Brett?
Ezekiel 25:17.
And I was showing to them great wrath and furious anger. Now I just want Mickey Mouse to read.
Dude, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
I want a Disney Pulp Fiction adaptation.
I totally do.
with Mickey and Donald as.
Oh, we good? Oh, yeah, we good.
Oh, this is a tasty burger.
Does Pete look like a...
Does he look like a bitch?
Good Lord. Oh, this is usually where we end about 10 after the hour. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
This has been Talking Heads, episode, I've been told, 284, not 285. 285 is next week, which you will find at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Good Lord, I'm still on old schedule. 6 p.m. Pacific time, every Wednesday night here on Craft Computing, right here on YouTube. I am Jeff, I'm Craft Computing. That is Steve. You can find him pretty
Wherever
much
you can find me.
Nowhere, as well as occasionally we'll make some appearances over on Hops and Brews. Link is down in the video description if you'd like the beer content on this channel. Make sure to check us out there as well. Subscribe to Craft Extra if you want to see some clips from this podcast, as well as some other extra content that we like to post there from time to time. In fact, Rhett's been working on an interview with, let's just say, someone who is well entrenched in the JRPG 90s and 2000s development.
Oh, fun.
So I've been listening to the interview as he's been editing the video. I can't friggin' wait to see the whole thing because it's going to be good. All right. Yeah, as always, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Join us on Patreon to join the Discord server where you can get exclusive access to talk with me, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and all the community that hangs out over there.
And the after party.
And the after party, which is awesome, and will start in probably about 10 minutes' time.
That's right.
Also, make sure to check out craftcomputing.store. Buy yourself
Absolutely.
glassware, barware, and all of the accessories that you ever wanted to make you drink like a pro.
Exactly.
It's a really fun thing to be able to put on your resume that I'm a professional beer reviewer.
That's right. And that you have your own glassware.
Yeah, and I have licensed glassware.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Good stuff. Novella Hub says pizza. Actually, I had pizza before the show, so I think I'm good. And yeah. We'll see you next week, folks.
Yeah.